What's going on? You know what's crazy? What's crazy? Like, you know what's actually, like, for real insane? For real insane? That's kind of spooky. That's kind of scary, honestly. Um, do you know that within the next 10 years, it's 2025, right? Within the next 10 years, 2035. 2035 sounds like a far number, man. I don't know if you guys remember the movie iRobot. I could probably still watch that movie till today. And I don't like rewatching things because I remember a lot of stuff pretty well. So like it kind of loses its thrill for me rewatching things. But those are one of the movies I could probably forever rewatch. I maybe have 3 or 4 of those movies, which isn't a lot, but I could really rewatch that as if it's the first time, just because when I first watched that movie in what was iRobot, 2004. I can't remember if I first watched it in the theaters or it came out, and usually early 2000s things coming out on DVD was months later, if not years, sometimes a year or two. But I remember watching that movie, and I'm a child, and I'm like, man, 2035, that sounds, I'm gonna be like, oh, that sounds so far away. And it's 2025, man. We're a decade away from that time. Time goes by so fast. Like, I felt like that was so far away. I felt like that was like a different century. When you're a kid, that's what you think, right? And it's like, man, we're not even 120 months away from 2035. Wow. Because that's when, if you watched iRobot, that's when the movie takes place, in 2035. So anyway, in a rant real quick, sorry, got off topic, but 2035, man, in the next 10 years, a lot of people are going to become homeless. A lot of people are going to become homeless. Like literally home, like literally not being able to even apply to rent something somewhere, somehow. They won't be able to do that in the next 10 years. People aren't going to be able to rent. Buying is out the window. People aren't even going to be able to rent. People are going to become homeless, man. That's crazy, because it's actually happening. That's how crazy it is. You guys, I'm pretty sure you guys have been seeing all these TikToks, all these YouTube videos. I'm pretty sure people are posting on Facebook. People are talking about it. People are staying in storage units, staying in hotels. These are indefinite times, staying in their car, staying at the airport. And if they're lucky, they're staying with friends and family, not really having to pay anything, kind of crashing out. People are homeless. People don't have an address attached to their name. They don't have overhead because they don't have a home. And a home in a sense where they could come, right? A home that's, that their taxes is attached to, where they get mailed to. Like, people are literally homeless. Not because they're transitioning, because they either don't have employment or the job that they're working doesn't pay them enough. In 2023, there were almost 40 million Americans. I think the number was like 38.5 million Americans. 38.5 million Americans. That's like 10 to 12% of the country, man. 10 to 12% of the country are in poverty, are literally poor. So I'm like, okay, what's the definition of poor? And I said this before, but I'll get a little more granular. So a single person in 2025, if they're making just shy of $15,200 a year gross, they're considered in poverty, right? That equals out, if you're working full time, that equals out to $7.50 an hour. A family of 4 And I'm about to break all this down to you and just let y'all know how much of a scam it is to be in a place like this today. Because it's all in our face. It's all in our face. And, you know, we're just going to be just continually struggle unless we do some changing ourselves. I'm going to break all this down to you. So a single person making around 15K a year is in poverty. A family of four, for some reason, the U.S. consensus dictates, you know, an average family to be a couple or, you know, a partnership between two people and two children to constitute a household. So, you know, your numbers are skewed if you have one child or if you have more than two. But a family of four, which quadruples a single person, has to make under 33K to be in poverty. Now, before I get further, let's just do the math. See, let me know how this makes sense, how they deem poverty, and why it has to be so low for a family of four. A single person making 15K. I guess I'm under the assumption that a family of four would introduce the other partner, right? Another single person who blends and becomes a partner, and gets into a partnership with somebody, is making around the same amount of money. So that household now, that level of poverty between a family of four essentially doubles that threshold, which doesn't make sense because the single person doesn't have two kids. So how in the hell does your income have to only be $17,000 more a year, which is an extra $8 an hour, to be poverty stricken if you have two kids? You know how much two kids? It doesn't make sense. One person making 15K who essentially will have less liability and less stress to make money, that only doubles while the liability essentially quadruples. It's now not just yourself. You have your partner and you have two kids. And poverty is considered you just making an extra $17,000. That's insane. That it doesn't add up. Just on the poverty definition in America, it does not add up. And I'm going to let you know why it doesn't add up. I'm going to go further, right? The average national income is around $68,000 to $72,000 a year, right? Which is not a lot. That's, again, for a household or family of four, right? So that's essentially double the poverty line of a family four who's making, you know, poverty level income, which is essentially, right? Like, look at the math on this. Like, it's crazy, and it'd be spinning through my head if I sometimes don't, you know, kind of shake it off and move my thoughts somewhere else, because it's like we're all this close from being in poverty. There's already almost 40 million people in poverty. And even they'll say they said the number went down a tiny bit going into this year or 2024, but there's still 10% of America. Basically, look at this. I'm gonna put it to you straight. 1 out of every 10 people you meet are poor. Yeah, can y'all imagine that? 1 out of every 10 people you meet is poor. A single person cannot afford to live in America already. They're scraping by. They can't afford. Don't let them have a child. They can't afford to continue to go to school to continue education. They can't afford a car payment. These guys can't afford to get to rent, and I'm gonna get to that. That's the kind of whole premise of this video, right? It's insane, and it's like, you know, I don't know who make these rules. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to be bottom of the barrel to get help. So anyway, a family of four who is not poverty stricken, right? The average income is around 70K. That's just about double the threshold of a family of four in poverty. So again, I'm gonna add to this. The average person now, right? Again, right? The 1 out of 10 people is poor that you meet. The average person, which every 4 to 5 people you meet is essentially one layoff away of becoming poor, right? So if you essentially double the income on both sides for both partners, right? You have, and I was talking about this on my video yesterday, you know, for the average income household in America, which is insane. It's insane for many reasons, and I'll get into a little bit of the reasons here shortly. Is, you know, that's essentially, if you look at 70,000, that's essentially a person making about $16 to $17 an hour. Each person making $16 to $17 an hour. You get laid off, you are now in poverty. That one person gets laid off, they are now in poverty by definition. They're in poverty. They have to, if you're already not on Medicaid, they have to now sign up for Medicaid. They have to get government assistance. If they're looking to move out of their parents' house or move out of their friend's house to attempt to live on their own, they got to get into Section 8 voucher. Like, you lose a $16 or $17 an hour income or a salary of about $34,000 to $35,000. You are now in poverty. And there's 55,000 layoffs happening every day. There is millions of people entering and exiting poverty daily. And I'm saying exiting if they could get a job again based on the income kind of ratios and how many dependents they have, right? It's for a family of 4. Every day, people are towing the line. Dude, basically everybody we see is towing the line of poverty. The 1% is the 1%, right? Not even one, man. A 1% out of 10 is nothing. Like, look at people around you. Basically, everybody that you meet day to day is broke or in poverty. The best people that you meet, the people that you meet, like that small group, is just getting by, and they're above the broke and above the in poverty. Just getting by and broke is towing the line. Broke and poverty is all this is towing the line, man. If you're not making over, look, I'm gonna keep saying this until my freaking head is blue, eyes are black, whatever. If you're not making close to $200K, you're towing the line of being broke. $200,000. A family of 3 to 4. If you're not making close to $200K, you're towing the line of being broke. And I'm gonna get into why I said in the next 10 years, in 2020 and 2035, more people will become not just poverty stricken, like homeless, like literally homeless. Right? Look at the math on this, man. If there's already about 40 million people who are in poverty, and I'm pretty sure there's a statistic out there that I haven't seen yet, where in that 40 million, you know, 25 to 50% of people are actually homeless. There gotta be, because it doesn't make sense. Obviously, you can't afford a studio apartment generally anywhere. A studio for a single person is gonna cost about $400 to $500 a month on the lowest end, and you gotta make 2 to 3 times the income. Well, if you're only making 15 to 16K, how are you able to get into a studio? You're gonna be doing some illegal stuff. I mean, there's just no way for you to afford a studio if you're making that little money, man. And there's a lot of people still doing that, and that's gonna be close, you know, on the younger side with teenagers and stuff. You know, that age, that working age. It stems. I believe it could be 18. I don't think it's younger. Like anywhere from 18 to 65 is a lot of where these numbers fall into. You know, so that could be people. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, you working full time at $7.50 an hour. If you're just working part time, which hella people do, and making $10-12 an hour, you could barely afford rent. You're a check away from being evicted at this point, right? So I'm gonna go deeper, man. Forget buying a home. We talked about it already. Forget buying a home. If you're not making upper in the 100,000s, you're just not finna buy a home in America. It's just not gonna happen. It's not. It's more encompassing. It's more inclusive than just paying, you know, 3 times or even 4 times for greedier landlords upfront rent to move in, knowing you're not gonna get your security deposit if you ever leave. But landlords know they get all that money up front because they know tenants aren't gonna ever leave. You know, it's crazy. So, like, knowing all this information, you know, it's like Like, how do you climb up out of this vacuum of a hole? You know what I'm saying? Because the average person you meet is towing the line of poverty. Like the average, which means you have to be a slave to work, which I talked about yesterday. Like, it all works hand in hand. This is the system that is really, it's predicated off of that false sense of luxury and that economic divide. It's happening rapidly. 40 million people are in poverty, and you got another 100 to 200 million people who are barely getting by, towing the line between okay and broke, and they're a layoff away from becoming impoverished, which doesn't make sense. Look at this. If the national average rent for, let's say, a 2 or 3 bedroom, right? Because it's different. It's different places of the country, right? It's all different, you know. But then I'm just going by national averages, right? Because income, all that stuff is average. It's all cost of living. You know, people, when they apply for work, you know, you guys, when you apply like on Indeed, LinkedIn and stuff like that, they tell you what your salary range is based on where you live. Like, people are actually going to pay you not due to your expertise, not due to the urgency of getting a valued, experienced asset to their folded into their company, but they're supplying a range also based on an assumed assertion of cost of living. Like, people don't know how deep this goes. Like, these are jobs. These are both public, private entity jobs. They're basing income off of where you live. It don't matter. If I've been working for 10 years and I have 5 years of management experience and I'm applying for a job where I should be making 150, it don't matter where I live. But that's going to range. You're going to make 120 to 175 based on if you live in Alabama compared to California. It's ridiculous. America. It's ridiculous. It shouldn't matter, but it matters. Like, they want, everybody you know wants you to stay here. You know how much different it is? I can move to a state, and obviously my cost of living will increase, but let that prospective employee figure his cost of living and quality of life. If this job can pay me $150 in New York, but it's only paying me $105 in Texas, I'm doing the same thing just based on location. It's crazy. It's skewing the ability to know your true value, and this is working in America, which is a whole different conversation, right? So anyway, the national average is around 70,000 income, but the national income wise is 70,000, but the national average to rent. Look at the math, man. Look at how this shit doesn't make sense. Is around 1,750. Let's say 1,800, because if you get 1,800 for somewhere, even in a 1 or 2 bedroom, anywhere in this country, outside of like West Virginia, you know, maybe Florida, I don't know, like North Carolina, if you could get something under $2,000 anywhere for a studio up, that's okay. And that's how bad it is. There's a lot of places where you can get a 3 or 4 bedroom for under $2,000, and that's damn near a steal, just for how the economy is going. So let's say it's $1,800 to rent somewhere with a family of 3, right? Family of 3 to 4. That kid or kids can share a bedroom. Let's just say a 2 or 3 bedroom is $1,800. Well, in most places, you got to make 3 times the rent for your gross income, which doesn't mean affordability. That means purchasability. Affordability is different. But for you to get in the door and be recommended, and for you to even, outside of all these other factors you look at with renting, right? Like, you got to make 1,800 times 3, that's 5,400. That's about 70,000, maybe 69,000 a year. So what that means is the average person can only afford to rent up to $1,800 a month. Afford in the eyes of the landlord. You give me my $1,800. The mother bill, you're only grossing 54. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, look at this. The average family, again, I'm a backtrack. 40 million are already impoverished. 10 to 20 million are already homeless. The other 200 to 250 million in the US can barely afford rent. There's only 10% of people at this point who are actually can buy and trade homes, right? Like, it's the home, but the American dream of buying a home is done for most people. It's out of, it's not even on the radar anymore. You got to be making close to $200,000 to buy a home now, especially a home that's fitting for you and your family, not just to buy some rinky-dink thing that you could, get for $200,000, $250,000. That's not going to get you too much anymore in America. It's not. It was crazy. I was saying this to a coworker. When was I talking about this, man? I was talking about this to a coworker when I was doing some drafting work. This was 7 years ago now. And I'm like, man, there's no reason why I should ever buy a home for more than $250,000. I was saying that because back then you could get the home, the type of homes that the average home you can get now was 3 times less back then. It's insane. So of course I was saying that, not knowing that these homes are going close to $500,000. And throughout the national average is just under $500,000 for just a standard home. You're not getting a home. Most people aren't getting a home, right? So I'm just talking about people towing the line. People can barely afford rent. It's $1,800 a month. The average American household. That means up to 2 incomes, and that could be one person bringing in the bacon between 2 jobs, or it could be split, right? One person has an income making this, another person has an income making that, and it's an average out to about $70K, right? 30%, that's gross, mind you, gross. This is on paper income. So this isn't affordability anyway. People are scratching by. People are one check away, one job layoff away from being evicted. To now, and it gets crazier because I'm gonna go further in this, right? $1,800 is spent, gross income. You're gonna have another $4,000. No, my math is off. You're gonna have another $3,000 after taxes, right? $5,400. You got taxes before you spend anything else. Taxes, right? It's $4,400 a month. $1,800 is gone. You got $2,700 a month left. Don't have loans. Don't have a car payment. This is with kids. You got. Don't let the kids be young. There's daycare. Extracurricular things is out the window. Obviously, being able to save to buy a house is out the window. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't work from home no more. There was an RTO to return to work. So people have cars. That means people have car payments. All this stuff is out the window. People are scraping by to rent, to live and have a shelter, man. So again, 9 out of 10 people, most of the time, depending on your circle and your environment, everybody that you see, 10 out of 10 people are towing the line, scraping. And this is and I'm gonna now add this caveat on why it's gonna get worse within the next decade. Not in 2035, it's gonna keep getting worse. Because inflation is still gonna happen. These tariffs is still gonna happen. Layoffs are still gonna happen. Why? Because we have AI happening. AI is gonna be taking people's jobs. Like we were talking about iRobot. You see how this shit comes to fruition? Nobody's making this up. AI is gonna be laying people off. It's just gonna make sense. You already have Chat GPT and all this stuff, all these automation things that you had assistants in the office or working remote. It went from being in the office as a human to being remote as a human to now having automated things on the phone and now having automated machines, right? Where you could just speak and it does a job for you, right? It's gonna take away your job. Like there's gonna be things where in the next 10 years, it's pricing you, it's forcing you. Society will overwhelm the average household / single person in America and kick them out. It's just getting worse and worse. You're not gonna be able to afford to live here. Kick all that stuff out the door. You're gonna be homeless, man. The fact that I'm gonna look for that stat somewhere. The fact that there's already 10% of Americans that is already in poverty, living off of Section 8, living off of EBT, WIC, which is all gonna go away soon. I'm hearing SSI is gonna go away soon. So if you're 45, 50, looking for that in the next 10, 15, 20 years, it ain't even happening. I know for me, it's gone. It's gone. I can't look at SSI. It'd be a joke to put that in my plans in retirement, in American retirement. I can't go that way, right? So like, look at all these factors, man. Like I was telling my wife, I show my wife so many examples. It's like, it's in plain sight. It's in our face. And man, 2025 is becoming basically post-COVID. Think life changed. I showed my wife a lady who's been working at Microsoft. I showed her this, I think, last week or week before. A lady who's been working at Microsoft, a reputable company. I believe they would be considered a Fortune 500 company. I could be wrong. Microsoft has been there for a decade. She lost her job. She's at Microsoft. She lost her job. After she's been there for 10 years. So listen, 10 years, almost 10 years. I think it was 9 years and a couple months. She lost her job, I think, in March. And now her 401k is depleted. Lost her job this year. Her 401k is depleted. She is screaming for help on LinkedIn. Screaming. People are begging on LinkedIn to get a job. These are people with degrees, man. This is where it's come to. This is where it's come to. It don't even make sense. I tell my wife, hey, well, this is America. This is just my answer for everything. How things happen, how things go. I mean, this is America. This is where we're at now. It's a different place, man. People will start losing their homes. There's already been 9.4 million foreclosures, or at least delinquencies. I could be wrong on that number, but it's a lot going into this year, man. Like, people are losing their homes. People aren't able to buy a home. People aren't able to rent a home or apartment or a condo. It's insane, dude. People will become homeless. The homelessness around the country will rise, because the divide. What's happening is remember that America was built off of the backs of their people. Remember what I can't remember what that president was. Was it Reagan? You guys who are history buffs, right? Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. They weren't lying. Like, seriously. It's to pour in. This is a host. We're feeding a host. Look at the divide. Look at all these CEOs making multi-million dollars an hour, completely detached from life, detached from the job force itself, their company itself, off of the backs of their people. This is what's happening, right? The divide is growing. Americans have an assumed wealth attached to this culture. And if you are not increasing your wealth, whether it's your net worth or your income, you're gonna be put down. This is it. You're gonna be homeless. And people who are in there, like, you know what I'm saying, who are, you know, kind of getting into college, trying to graduate college, looking to start a family, you got to rethink stuff. If you want to do that, bounce. You can't stay here. You got to rethink. You got to rethink everything. Everything has to be rethought now. Don't have them kids and put them in a situation, not even just financial, you know, like, I just feel like people are just losing more common sense. There's more stress, which means there's more duress. There's more, you know, like, uncanniness type of activity. Like, things is just becoming widespread. You know, people are losing manners, etiquette, things like that. And it's affecting children. So it's like, why even bring them in this position, in this disposition, you know? not having resources or opportunities, and obviously having capital and finances established, or having a constraint on such, it 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 brings down your environment, your circle. It brings down your quality of life. It just does, especially in a country like America. So 2035 ain't far. 2030 ain't far. This stuff is legit around the corner. There's a lot of people looking to retire. A lot of people looking at 60 because they're now 55, 58, looking to tap in. And hopefully people did it right. Hopefully people had the opportunity to build their financial body, their financial portfolio, because there is opportunity in America, but it's scarce, and it's like first come, first serve type of energy out here now, you know. I implore y'all to look at your options. My eyes is becoming way open too much, where it's just consistent distaste in my mouth about where we are at, and I see it with my friends and my own family, right? So be aware and be proactive, because it's getting worse. Y'all be easy.